Hi soulmates, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Tekla Ezigu, and in today's tutorial we are going to be learning how to make this dress. This is the sewing video. We already did the pattern drafting. You can see how beautiful and how neat and clean this dress is looking. I'm going to be giving you the easiest and fastest method of making this outfit to get this clean finish. So if this is your first time coming to this channel, go ahead now to subscribe to the channel and also turn on your notification bell so that you know when we have a new tutorial uploaded. So for this particular dress, these are all the fabrics and materials that I'll be using. This is my crepe fabric and it is about 3 yards. Then I have my zipper, of course. This is invisible zipper and it is tuck zip. And then I have my cloth gum, air stay, whichever one you choose to call it. And then I have this cotton lining. I couldn't really get a closer color, so I decided to make do with it. Then I've gone ahead to cut out my patterns on my fabric. And I'm also going to go ahead to iron air stay to only my main fabric, right? Now, this is the part 2 of this video. If you have not seen the part 1, I will encourage you to go to the channel and see it right away. I'm going to leave the link to the class in the description. So all I did is to add ½ inch around the pattern, and then on the sides I added 1 inch so that we use it to join the side allowance. So this right here is my center front, and you can see that I did cut it on fold. Now I'll also urge you to remember to notch all your lines, your bust points on the bust, waistline, so that you can be able to join it perfectly. Now this is my back, and also you can see that I added 1 inch allowance on the side, and then every other place is ½ inch. So now after ironing my stay, this is how we are going to join the clothes. You can see the center front and then the sides. I'll join it together just the way you join your bustier. I'll do the same thing for the lining as well. Then on the back, I'm going to join it center to side, one by one, and then I'll also do exactly the same thing on the lining. Now, if this is your first time coming to this channel, I want you to go ahead, like this video, subscribe to this channel if you have not done so, and let's ride on. So after joining that, I also ironed my seam allowance open. You can see the center part, and then you can see the back as well. You can see that I've given this a good press so that it can relax. You can see the main fabric, and then I also did exactly the same thing on the lining, right? So this tutorial is quite an easy one, and if you listen carefully you will catch everything. So right now let's ride on. So now for this particular tutorial, I'll be joining main fabric to main fabric. You can try to use your lining to turn each one at this point, but for me, I'm going to join back fabric to front fabric, and then I'm also going to do the same thing on the lining. Reason being that I don't want the seam allowance on the side to be bulky, and I also don't want it to be showing. So all my seam allowance is going to be at the back. Contrary to this, you can just use your lining to turn each one separately and then shape by the side. So you can see exactly what I have now. And then I also trimmed out the allowance on the bustier line so that it doesn't bulk when I wear it. And you can see exactly how my main fabrics looks. So right now, I also did exactly the same thing on the lining, right? I did exactly the same thing on the lining. So I'm going to use the lining to cover up this my main fabric. And we are now going to top stitch to sew everywhere from the up to the armhole to the back and then to the sides. So I'm just going to go ahead to use my pin to cover that. So at this point, you are trying to pin everything in place so that it doesn't shift. You will sew the center back, sew it all the way to the armhole, to the front, and also to your armhole. We are trying to get a neat finishing, right? And then you also do the same thing on the center back of the other side. So I'm going to go over to my machine now, sew this down, and then I'll come back to show you what I have. So after stitching, this is what I have. I also trimmed out the excess sewing allowance so that it doesn't bulk. So I'm just going to go ahead to turn this out so that you see exactly what we have. Now, after turning this out, I want you to go ahead and give it a very good press so that your cloth can relax. Remember that you are still going to top stitch the down, so giving it a good press is going to help you to top stitch it rightly so that it doesn't look bad. So after turning it out, go ahead and iron it. Give it a very good press. So I will press it, and then I will also top stitch the down part together, and I will come back to show you exactly what we have. So you can see the part that you're supposed to top stitch, but before you do the top stitching, iron it. So now let's move to our slash and spread. So because we've slashed everything, I went ahead to add 2 inches allowance to my hemline. This is going to serve as my hemline allowance, and then I'm placing the first of the front, and I'm giving this 6 inches space. This was later on not enough, so I started to use 5 inches space later on off camera. Now the length of my fabric is 2.5 inches. The length from the one side, you know, this is going to be two. One side of the front and the back is 2.5 inches. Just hold on. In a minute, you will see exactly what I mean. So you can see the way I'm spacing the whole front. This is why I told you to label this. So I will know which one comes next. I'm spacing the front, and then I will do it all the way to the back. And kindly notice that my fabric is on fold. Now you can see the 8 front and the 7 back. They are together, which is the hip line. I did not separate it. So make yours close. Don't give the hip line any space. Then you can also see the back as well. Kindly note that your slash and spread is going to start above your allowance. So the allowance that I gave here is 2 inches, and that is where all of them started. So now I'm just going to cut this out, but before then I'll just carve out what I have. Sorry you can't see this. I'm actually using a pencil, but it was visible in my eyes. But I'm just trying to get a nice curve that I'm going to use to cut this out. Now, if you have not joined our membership on this YouTube, you are already missing a lot because our fashion business course is going on. Remember, I told you all that it's not just to know how to sew. It's your duty to learn how to make money from the business. It's your duty to learn to make your skill, to turn your skill into a business. And that is all we discuss, how you can make more money as a fashion designer, as a tailor, as someone that is into sewing for a living. All you have to do is click that join button showing right now on your screen, follow it through, and then you will become a member of our YouTube business course. We also have a WhatsApp community of tailors that you can join, and all you have to do is click the WhatsApp link in the comment, and it will bring you directly to my WhatsApp. Now, I want you to know that what I'm actually doing here is that I'm adding half inch allowance above each paper, and then that is exactly what I'm cutting out. So please don't cut directly on your paper. Remember to add half inch allowance so that you use it to join it to your dress, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and cut all these things out so that you see exactly what we have. So my fabric is into two, which means that I have the both sides for my dress. So I'm just going to go ahead to remove all these patterns, but before then I'm going to notch the center hip, which is where the front hip and the back hip joined together, so that I will know where to join it when I'm joining it on my fabric. Please don't forget to notch this thing. So you can see that notch, and you can see that I have 2 pieces of this. Now go ahead and run a gather stitch on each side and also pull it together. I'm going to do that off camera. Now I have attached the first side of my gathers. You can see exactly how it looks. So I'm just going to use the second one to show you how to do this. This is the back, right? And then I'm going to go ahead to use the other side to show you exactly how it looks. You can see the way it looks on the front. You can see that this is already coming out so nice and beautiful. So now when you are placing your gathered material on your main fabric, please find that center point that you notched. The reason why I told you to notch it is that by the time you are done gathering it, you will not remember where that is. So notch it. You can use a pin to pin it there so that you do not forget. That particular notch part is going to go directly on your side line. And then you are going to gather this. You remember that where we came down by 7 inches on our pattern paper, that is where your gathers is going to stop. That particular place where your side that line joined the center front is where your gathers is going to stop. And then you now push or put the remaining material to the hemline of your dress. Please, what I'm trying to say is that your gathers does not get to the end of your fabric. It has to stop where the side and the center of your fabric join. Where the center front and the side front joined, that line, remember that is where it stopped. So that is where your gathers is going to stop. Your gathers does not go all the way down to the hemline of your clothes. So after placing this, just the way you saw me do, I'm going to go ahead and then use 1/2 inch to sew it into the dress. So after stitching it, this is what I have. You can see that our dress is already coming out nice. Now what you're going to do at this point is that you're going to go ahead and then shape your outfit. Remember that we added 1.5 inches allowance on the pattern. You can use whatever allowance you added to shape your fabric. By sewing this dress like this, it means that all the seam allowance is now at the back. So if it is tight on your client, what you have to do is to shape it from the back, remove the zip and then reattach it. You can see how the inside is all neat. Now, I just went ahead to mark out the seam allowance that I added earlier so that I can be able to use it to join my zip. And I am going to measure my body measurement, and then whatever thing that I have, I'm going to use it for my seam allowance. So just go ahead to mark this out, and then this is now the point where you attach. This is now the point where you attach the zip. So I just marked where I want my zip to stop, which is about 1 inch below my hip line. And I went ahead to attach that zip, finish up the hemline. You can overlock before folding. I have also gone ahead to attach one of the sleeves, and I'm just going to show you exactly how I was able to achieve that. So fold your fabric into two. You can see that this fabric is unfold. The length is 18.5 and the width is 8.5. So just go ahead to turn it right out, and then you make a pleat like so. Can you see it? Just make a pleat and then run a stitch on top of it. So after running a stitch on top of it, this is what I have, and then I just placed it on my main fabric and I'm going to stitch it down. Now you can decide to do any sleeve of your choice. You can use a spaghetti hand, you can just use a band, you can do any off shoulder. So I'm going to go ahead now, give this a good press, and I'll come back to show you what I have. And our dress is ready. Now, our Premium Blazer Masterclass is coming up on the 16th of January 2026, which many of you have already registered. The cost fee is 15,000, and it is a very detailed class. Whether you are still a beginner, you cannot miss this class. All you have to do is click that WhatsApp link in the comments. It will bring you directly to our WhatsApp to register, or you can also click the seller link on our bio to register. I also have a flyer which is on our TikTok page and also on this YouTube. You can click on it to see all the details that you need. Our blazer class is a detailed class and all registration is ending on the 30th of December. See you in my next